There are several towns along the southern border that are now bracing for a migrant surge now that the COVID-era border policy known as Title 42 is set to end this Thursday. Meanwhile, there are Republicans in the House. They're starting voting procedures in order to try and pass a border package. The vote is expected to take place the same day the border policy will end on Thursday. However, it is unlikely to survive in a Democratic-led Senate. I want to bring in Neama Rahmani now, a former federal prosecutor, talk about where things stand. Thank you for being with us this morning. There are talks in the Senate as well to extend Title 42. Is there any chance that this thing gets delayed in the 11th hour?
Oh, I don't think so. I think we should expect to see the end of Title 42, and we're going to process these claims under Title 8, which was in existence and will continue to be in existence now that the Title 42 COVID restrictions have been lifted.
So come Thursday, if we see a surge in immigrant crossings, which many anticipate is going to happen and some say it's already happening, you say it could impact the cartels. Talk a little bit about what you plan to see.
Well, there's many folks who have been waiting in Central and South America to try to enter the United States because of the Title 42 restrictions, and the word has traveled to those parts of the world. Now that they've been lifted, there's a lot of misinformation, and folks are going to try to enter the United States for reasons that have nothing to do with asylum, for economic reasons. And when they are turned away at the border, when they don't qualify for asylum, they've already traveled thousands of miles to enter the United States. So they're going to turn to human traffickers to try to enter the United States illegally.
And has the U.S., Neama, done enough to address the misinformation to make sure that those who are planning to cross know that the border is not open and that the procedures need to be followed?
The Department of Homeland Security is trying. They've created a phone app. They're setting up centers in Central and South America to process a lot of these migrants, but still there's a lot of misinformation out there, and the cartels they're in the business of making money, and they take advantage of these migrants financially. There's reports that they're sexually assaulted and even killed. So I don't expect that DHS information to really get to the folks that really need to hear it.
Mexico has agreed to accept about 30,000 migrants at this point. Will that do much to have an impact?
I don't think it'll do much because that's just a small dent. We're talking about 10,000 or more people per day. And the U.S. is processing a lot of them through expedited removals, which will ban them from entry to the United States for 5 years. But 30,000 is going to be nowhere near enough because we're going to see a significant surge.
Right. And you mentioned the human trafficking side of this, and the cartels also trying to move drugs across the border. How do you think that Title 42 expiring will impact that?
Yeah, a lot of same methods, whether they're tunnels, whether they're ponga boats used to transport and traffic drugs, are also used to traffic people. So the cartels, they're in the business of making money, and it doesn't matter whether it's from drugs or whether it's from trafficking humans. On the human side, though, there really is that toll because you have children who are separated from their parents, you have sexual assaults, and you even have deaths that result from cartel trafficking.
So they'll take advantage of the situation and the mess of what it may become.
Chaos at the border, that inures to the benefit of the cartel. Even on our best day, when I was a federal prosecutor, I was maybe getting 20% of the drugs and humans that were flowing into the United States. So to the extent that there's chaos at the border, it's just going to help the cartels.
Let's talk about the legal side of this for a moment. The impact of this policy ending will put pressure not only on border prosecutors, but also on judges. We had a report just a moment ago that the backlog in New York alone can be up to a 10-year wait for people to get processed. How do you expect this situation on Thursday to impact what is already a very lengthy process to get people through the system?
Oh, it's going to be a huge problem. Even, me as a U.S. citizen applying for global entry took me months. Now imagine you have tens of thousands of asylum seekers who need a credible threat hearing before an asylum officer, and then they get a chance to appeal that decision to an immigration judge. We're a government of limited resources, and we do not have the resources to process all these claims. So it's going to take years, maybe even longer, for folks who truly have an asylum claim to be able to have that claim heard by someone that can actually give them asylum, whether it's an asylum officer or an immigration judge.
What's the biggest hitch in the process that's holding things up? Is it staffing? What else is it?
It is happening, but there's also an important regulation that, folks that are traveling from Central and South America, the law requires them to seek asylum in the first country where they're safe. Oftentimes, that is not the United States. And that legal hurdle will prevent many of these individuals from actually qualifying for asylum because they really have that well-founded fear of persecution in their home country. They should apply for asylum in the first country where they're safe.
And while they are waiting for that application process, where did they go? What happens and who's helping take care of them as you have worked through the legal system?
Yeah, they're in the United States. These are folks who don't have friends or family in northern Mexico and near the border. They have no place to stay. So when they are turned away, when you see these catch and release type cases by Border Patrol, they're just going to try to enter the United States again because they've already traveled this far and they have really no other place to go once they've made that journey. So to the extent that the U.S. wants to stop this migration, they really need to prevent it in the home countries of these individuals before they make the journey.
All right, 48 hours away. Neama Rahmani, thank you for your perspective this morning. Good to see you.